You ever wonder why you seem to make the same dumb mistakes over and over again? You ever wonder why certain things make you anxious or really stress you out? Like why does this bother me so much? Why am I unable to stop doing this thing that I know is so dumb it's not helping me? Me too. I remember learning about negative slash limiting beliefs. Um, Probably when I was 35, right around that time, I went down this path of trying to become more efficient and break through barriers and leveling up. And I was playing small and da 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 da. And I discovered these limiting beliefs, and I discovered that you can trace these back to when you were a kid, and that all of our beliefs, our core beliefs, are formed from before birth, even to around age 7, age 8. And it's all the experiences that we have go into forming what those beliefs are. And so I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And then you put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and you start tracing back through your earliest memories and you're looking for evidence. Like, why do I avoid financial matters? Because that was my thing, even though I've been working as a financial advisor since I was 22 years old. So at that time, it'd been 13 years. So a long time. And I was avoiding financial matters personally. Obviously, I was talking to other people about their money all the time, but I would wait till the last minute to pay my bills. I'd wait till the last minute to file my taxes. I never kept a budget, never tracked my cash flow. It was all, I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to track it, didn't want to pay attention. Wanted money. I was earning lots of, a good amount of money, had money, but still, there was something keeping me from it. And so I dug into it and I traced it back. And it really, once I started looking, it wasn't really that hard. That I grew up in a town called Duluth, Minnesota, and great childhood, just working class childhood. My mom was a school teacher. My folks split up when I was 5, and so my mom raised my brother and I. And she was a school teacher. Back then, they didn't pay him any money either. And so there was never enough money to go around. And once a month, my mom would pay bills. And that meant that she would literally spread all of our bills out on our big wooden circular dining room table. And my brother and I knew that we needed to avoid mom because it was a stressful time, a lot of anxiety, because she didn't have enough to pay everything. So she had just sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul and just trying to figure it all out. So month after month, it was avoid money, give mom space, stress, anxiety, avoid money, month after month after month. Believe it or not, it worked. I learned to avoid money. So there you go. And so when you avoid things, you're not taking them head on, trying to brush them under the carpet. You're avoiding the 1,000-pound gorilla, as the saying goes. You will become anxious about it. It will be a cause or a source of stress, as it was for me. But I have good news, is that you absolutely have the ability to overcome any limiting beliefs. And our brains have this neuroplasticity that just allows us to rewire how all things work. So I can move past avoiding money to treating money as it ought to be treated, which is as a tool to allow me to have the life that I want. Put so much power and so much emphasis and so much weight on money, and it's unnecessarily so. Money is just money. It's not good, nor is it bad. It just has the value and the strength and the power that we allow it to have, that we give to it. So if you're giving it a lot right now, you can take it away. If you're not giving it enough, well, you can give it some. So it's all about us. But it's all about what I wanted to talk about is just how we address financial anxiety. The goal being, I don't want to have it anymore. I don't want to have it anymore. Feelings are a really important thing. I'll never try to avoid feelings, but I can alleviate anxiety. I can alleviate stress. And all anxiety is, it's a very natural human response to stress and uncertainty. And it's a good thing. We evolved to have anxiety about things. If I am, if there are predators who are trying to eat me, well, then I better have my head on a swivel. I better be ready to, move if I need to. So it's all part of our brain in what's called the limbic system. And that's what provides the fight or flight response. And I like to talk a lot about how when you look at your 401k balance and the stock market crashes and it's gone down, the part of your brain that responds to smelling smoke in a building says get out also applies there, where your brain will say sell everything and run. Well, we know intellectually that that's not good, that we should just let things be. But our brains are trying to keep us safe. They've evolved to do that. So, take it a little bit further. Anxiety comes from biological factors. There's brain chemistry going on. Some people are more prone to anxiety. That's a reality. There's environmental factors, obviously, like I've been talking about. If you find yourself in a stressful situation, if you are behind the eight ball and you've got more month than money and you've got so many bills to pay, that's going to cause anxiety. You're fighting with your husband or your wife, that's going to cause anxiety. We have patterning. You can, of course, wire yourself to be a negative person, to be always looking for the problems, or you could wire yourself to be a positive person, always looking for solution-based thinking. And of course, you have your past lived experiences. So those obviously have a profound impact on how we operate and how we view the different situations and circumstances of our lives and they can certainly cause anxiety. And I'm not saying that anxiety is bad necessarily because it's not necessarily bad in small amounts. It helps us stay motivated, helps us stay cautious. It keeps the saw sharp. I don't want to be fat and lazy and not have a care in the world, but I also don't want to be super stressed out. So we want to find that just right. We don't want too hot. We don't want too cold. We want just right. And that's true of anything. And certainly when it comes to anxiety, I think that that's a really, really common thing. So money anxiety, financial anxiety, it's a super common one. It's one of the most persistent forms of stress that human beings experience. And it comes from uncertainty. If you don't understand how your 401k works, if you don't understand how the stock market works or how mutual funds work, you're going to be anxious about it. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to have a working knowledge of the different aspects of our financial lives. Otherwise, we will feel anxious because if we have no idea what's happening or how it works, then we feel like we're just kind of getting pulled along. So that's not good. Um, and it can, of course, even take physical forms. But the fear of the unknown, so much of your finances are unknown. I don't know what the stock market's going to do tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to do 10 days from now or 10 years from now. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen with geopolitics. I don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. I don't know what's going to happen with tax rates. Fundamentally, all I can do is control the things that I have control over. I can control whether or not I track my cash flow. I can control whether or not I budget. I can control my level of financial literacy and financial know-how. Do I understand how my 401k works? Do I have a budget? Do I have financial plans? Have I made these things? Maybe I even work with a financial advisor to help me to give me another set of eyes. You think you get the idea. And I also don't have any control over whether or not I'm going to get in a car accident. There's going to be medical expenses, or somebody's going to get sick, or somebody's going to die. All these things happen. All I can do is position myself for success and then let chips fall where they may. And I think that if we do those things, if I have a working knowledge of the things that I need to be interacting with financially, those basics, those foundational, fundamental things, then that'll give me a baseline knowledge that will help me to be less anxious and to be less stressed. Certainly, if I am in the habit of comparing myself to other people, particularly on social media, that's going to cause stress and anxiety. Because just because I see somebody on social media taking an awesome vacation, living in a big house, driving a nice car, eating delicious looking food, doesn't mean that I know anything about their financial situation. Those people might be rich, they could be doing awesome, or they could be up to their eyeballs in debt and have the worst sense of anxiety themselves. They're just putting on a happy face. So there's no future in you looking at your friends or other people, anybody else on planet Earth, and comparing yourself to them and then allowing that to cause you some negative mental health in the form of stress and anxiety. Because you don't know. You don't know what's going on with these people unless you do. Even what you think, I can assure you, there are plenty of people, and a limitless number of people, who you would perceive to be financially successful who absolutely are not. So, again, if you have negative financial experiences in your past, probably going to cause more anxiety if you don't overcome them. I think that when we are anxious about things, it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy where you could be like me and you just stop looking at stuff. You start ignoring statements. You don't budget at all anymore. You don't track cash flow. You never check your balances. You never check your accounts. And that is a spiral that will cause you to spiral and to feel like you are even less in control of where you were. And there's a double-edged sword to all this stuff also. You could go the opposite direction and become compulsive, become obsessive compulsive OCD about checking your finances constantly, checking the stock market constantly. I've been there. Or you could, of course, become extremely frugal and spending no money at all because you're terrified of losing it. Also not healthy. Again, we're looking for just right. If you feel like you can't make a decision about things, whew, all these are byproducts of stress and anxiety. And if you have bad experiences, you feel shameful about these things and guilty about them, that can also do it. So let's dig in. I want to talk specifically about the things that I think that if you do focus on and get a working level or working knowledge, a good amount of know-how on this stuff, it'll help you to feel more, number one, literate, because you will be more literate, but it'd help you to feel more confident, and you can hopefully start to alleviate some of that anxiety. So number one is you have to understand your cash flow, and that's money in, money out. So it's as basic as it gets, but too few of us know exactly how much is coming in and exactly how much we're spending. Too few of us know how much debt we have and the value of our assets. So that's a good first step. So how you do that is you log into all of your accounts on a monthly basis at a minimum and review all of your transactions, making sure that everything is as it ought to be. Having a budget is an extremely helpful thing. All that is a plan for your money. And there's so many great resources for putting together a budget. I like the 10-3-1 budget, or rather the 50-20-30, 10-3-1. 10-3-1 is another just set of financial numbers that are always bouncing around in my head. And maybe that's a story for another day. But 50-20-30 is a great framework. I also like the idea of a reverse budget, which is a pay yourself first budget. So I think that that's a really positive thing. So I think that having your emergency fund beginning with $1,000 and then working up to 6 months is a wonderful goal. Eliminating credit card debt is a wonderful goal. And then making sure that you understand what your biggest priorities are and treating them like your biggest priorities. So if you're currently in debt, I would say that's your biggest priority to get out of debt. If you don't have any debt, I would say your emergency fund should be your top priority. So developing an emergency fund that you're comfortable with. I advocate for 6 months, but maybe you're comfortable with 3. I think that understanding how your 401k or your IRA works for your retirement planning is a really important thing. So that's another area that I would focus on. If you are interested in buying a home, then I would educate myself on how that whole process works, how to qualify for it, how much of a down payment you may or may not need. And if children's education is a priority for you, then I would educate myself on how best to save money for college. You could look at a 529 plan, things like that. So those are the areas that if you are feeling financially anxious and you're looking at the whole universe of personal finance, that can be demotivating slash paralyzing, super stressful. Focus on those things: cash flow, budget, emergency fund, credit card debt, 401k, kids' education, and a down payment on a home. Those are the areas that I would focus. Start with the emergency fund, credit card debt, a 401k, down payment on home, and then kids' education. That would be my order. From there, I just can't stress enough how important it is for you to know what matters most to you, and then to know what must be done. So what do you have to do? And then if you can delegate, if there's things that you need help with, by all means do that. There's lots of great kinds of financial people out there. If you want to have a conversation with one of our approved Academy partners, people that are vetted and we know do a great job, then you're welcome to reach out. There's a link in the notes of the show which can connect you to somebody. But it's also a function of just managing everything. And so it's on a monthly basis, reviewing all of those things, reviewing your cash flow, reviewing your budget, reviewing your accounts, reviewing your plans. And then you let the chips fall where they may. You've done these things, you've educated yourself, you're keeping tabs on things, you've made some plans. I think that that's nothing but a really positive thing. So my most recent book is called Your Money Story, How to Get the Ending You Want. And it goes through a lot of this stuff. In fact, probably all of it. And it does it in trying to make it a little bit fun because it doesn't all have to be awful, does it? I hope not. Nobody will do it if it's all awful. But what we're trying to do is to help you feel less anxious, no stress, less stress. We never want a zero stress environment. We need a little bit of gravity. It's going to keep us nimble and alive. So talk with an approved Academy partner. Keep listening to the show, obviously. And as always, friendly reminder, there's never going to be anybody more interested in your financial success than you are. So act accordingly.